All right, everybody, now we're going to set up the network that we'll be using for our virtual machines to be able to analyze malware. Now, we want to do this because we need a safe environment that we can actually detonate or run malware when we drop it in. And we don't want to risk our physical operating system. That's very dangerous to be detonating malware in an area of a network that can reach your physical operating system. So what we want to do is set up a kind of special network. We're going to be able to put PMAT Flare VM and PMAT Remnux here, our two virtual machines. We're going to put them on a network that is physically separate from our host operating system, but logically connected so that both of these can talk to each other, but they cannot talk out to our physical operating system. So the first thing that we need to do, let's go to the tools section on the main GUI here, and we'll click this button right here and we go to network. And in network, we have a VirtualBox host-only Ethernet adapter right here. We're actually going to make our own for this, and we're going to specifically make one for a malware analysis network. And so what we do is we click create, and you may get a UAC prompt here asking, are you sure you want to do this? You can go ahead and click yes to that. And so let's go to the adapter tab here on host-only Ethernet adapter number 2. We will click this DHCP server enable. And we notice that we have a 192.168.129.1/24 address. That's fine, but what I like to do as kind of a best practice is to change this IP range so that it's noticeably different from something like my home network. Now, my home network is set up with a 192.168. I don't quite remember what the third octet is here, but that's not too important. The real thing that I want to get across here is to make this into something that is noticeably different from any of the other networks in your area. So let's make this into a 10.0.0.1 address right here. And so for the IPv4 subnet mask, you can leave that as 255.255.255.0. That makes it a /24. And we'll go over, once we're done with these settings right here, we go to DHCP server, and we just have to fill out a couple simple things here. First one is going to be setting this to 10.0.0.2. Again, we leave the server mask as 255.255.255.0. The lower address bounds we're going to set to 10.0.0.3, and the upper address bound we're going to set to 254. So, to recap, we have a 10.0.0.1 IPv4 address. Our subnet mask is a /24. Our DHCP server is at 10.0.0.2. And our lower bounds is 10.0.0.3. And our upper bounds is the upper part of the IPv4 range. And when that is all done, we will click apply. And again, you may get the UAC prompt saying you need to be an administrator to do this. Just go ahead and click yes. Now, we go to our first VM here, and we'll click on that VM and we go up to settings. And we scroll down to the network settings right here. By default, this is set to a NAT adapter, a network address translation. We do not want this. This means if you leave this as a NAT adapter, this means that your Flare VM guest operating system can route to your physical operating system by way of its physical Ethernet adapter. We don't want that. Definitely don't want that. You do not want your detonating malware to be able to route to your physical operating system. So what we want to do is select host-only adapter. And when we click on this, we have a couple options here. We have the original adapter that we saw, and we have number 2. Number 2, remember, was the one that we just set up, and we click on that. Now, it's worth pointing out, we should check these other 3 adapters right here and make sure that they are not enabled. This one should be enabled, but these 3 should not. You don't want some random adapter still live that might be bridged into your network or something crazy like that. That's just not good if you're detonating malware. We just want complete control over one adapter right here. And when we set it to adapter number 2, we will click OK. And we do the exact same thing for Remnux. We go down here, we are in the details section here, and we go to settings, and we'll go down to network. Same thing, we're natted over here. We do not want that. We go to host only adapter, and it may default to number 2 here, but if it doesn't, just drop it down and select number 2. And check Remember, we're going methodically, we're going slowly here, we're doing this correct from the start, so we check to make sure that these other adapters are not live, and they are not. And that looks good, and we will click OK. Now we have both of our virtual machines set up on a host-only network, and they'll be able to talk to each other, but they will not be able to talk out to the greater internet. And we will start both of these virtual machines. And you can drag that a little bit out of the way, and I'll keep both of them here on the screen at the same time as they start up. All right, when we boot to the main screens here, we're going to log into Flare with our password of password, and Remnux should already be set up right here. And what we'll do is we'll check the internet adapter settings. So we'll issue an IPA command over here on Remnux, and we'll go down to the Windows machine, and we'll type in cmder for commander, which is, remember, our kind of fancier command terminal. ipconfig. And we inspect our adapter settings. And remember, we want to be in the 10.0.0.0/24 network, and it looks like we are. So over here, 10.0.0.3, we are good on Remnux, and over here, 10.0.0.4, we're good on Flare VM. And the other thing that we want to do is, remember, we want to make sure that we cannot actually ping outside of this network. So let's go ahead and do a ping google.com. That should fail. Good. Okay. But maybe Google's DNS server is down or something crazy like that. Let's try pinging 8.8.8.8. That's Google's main DNS server. Ping transmit failed. Excellent. That's what we want. Over here on Remnux, we want to do pretty much the same thing. Ping google.com should fail. Ping 8.8.8.8 should also fail. Looks good, but can we talk to each other at this point? Let's try ping 10.0.0. And we are 4 over here on Flare, and it's looking good. And over here, we do a ping 10.0.0.3, and that looks pretty good. All right. It looks like we have a network that's now set up that 2 of our virtual machines can talk to each other, but they cannot talk to the outside world, and we're looking really, really good. So in the next video, we're going to set up a bit of a fake internet situation that's going to allow our malware to be tricked into thinking that it's talking to the internet when really it's not. So meet me over there and we'll set that up.